honestly, like equities just wasn't it for me. And once I switched to options, and I switched to options in June of 2019,
Okay.
and I've never traded equity since. And I think options really stuck with me. I don't know what it was, but it just clicked.
Welcome back, everybody, to Be the Trader. Today is going to be a special day because I have with me Masi Trades. And if you don't know who that is, you're about to find out right now. And don't worry, we're going to have all of our links in the description below. But without further ado, Masi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I really want to learn about your story. Just like, how did you get into trading to begin with? Was this something that you were always thinking about, or is this you kind of something you stumbled on?
So when I started trading, or when I first kind of tried to explore it, it was in May of 2018. And it wasn't definitely, I had no idea where it would take me. It was never a goal of mine to have it become a career. When I got into it, I kind of just wanted to learn something new. I knew a lot of people that were kind of investing in the market, and I had no idea what it was. So it was along the lines of, I want to be involved in these conversations, so I want to learn, and that's kind of how it started.
Did you start off like investing? Because you mentioned, you saw people investing and so forth. Did you really just start on day trading? And whichever path you took, what did you focus on at the beginning?
So first it was investing, like buying here and there a little bit, but then I realized that with the account size that I had, that would be like a very long-term goal. And I wanted to kind of switch career paths where I was quicker. So it's just, I realized that that's not something that would be beneficial for me at where I was.
Sure.
So that's when I got into day trading, and it was really mostly just YouTube stuff that I would watch, see other day traders, and realize that you can do this for like a living on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of how I got into it.
YouTube.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people are like they're buying programs or they're reading books, but you went to YouTube to learn. Did you find that valuable, or did you also learn from some other resources?
I did find YouTube valuable because I feel like there's a lot of content on there, and you just gotta have to sift through what is kind of BS and what actually is helpful. I read a lot of books too. I think a lot of books helped me, and then just doing research, and I think spending like the screen time and actually looking at the stock market and looking at what it's doing on a day-to-day basis, because I think screen time is like the most important thing when it comes to trading.
I 100% agree with you on the screen time, but I want to ask you something about when you said, understanding what was like kind of BS and what isn't. Because I know someone's watching this and you're like, well, how do I know? Like, is there any advice you can give to understand like what was probably something you shouldn't watch versus something you should watch?
Yeah. So in the trading world, kind of what I've seen is that there's a lot of just showy things, and I think that's how they get people to like, hey, like I have this, I did this because I got, I did this and I got this car, or I did this and I got this house. Stay away from that. I think more if it's just solely based on education. This is how you have a trend line strategy. This is how you learn to day trade, day trading 101. Those type of videos are going to help a lot more than all of the other
flexing,
glamour,
if you will.
Flexing,
I appreciate you bringing that up because I feel I agree with you. Like when you see that, but I want to go back to when you were in the corporate world. Why were you wanting to leave? And then what else did you explore? Like whenever you said investing, then you went to trading. Like, was that the whole purpose to leave corporate world? Was it just trading, or were you trying multiple things at once?
So I went to school. I got a degree.
Sure.
At first, I was a nursing major. My parents wanted me to be in the medicine field, and I was like, no, it's not for me. I spent about 2 years in nursing. Then I went to IT, and I actually did like IT. It was fun, just getting into the corporate world and being in kind of a routine just was not for me. And I worked in corporate for about like 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I just realized that it's just not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. So I tried to kind of find different avenues where I would be able to find a different career path and something that I could kind of do on my own free time, and I wasn't stuck to like a time limit or someone else's time. And real estate was one of them. YouTube was one of them, but YouTube was more like beauty side because that's what I was into. And then the stock market.
Well, now trading.
Yeah, now trading.
And you have a great YouTube channel, which you gotta check it out.
Thank you. But yeah, it was a lot of different things, and I didn't think that trading would be the one that kind of took over. So
how's that feel right now? Just knowing that trading did take over and where you're at today. Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you can just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show.
It feels good. I mean, you never know where you're gonna end up in 5, 2, 3 years down the road. It's not something that I will say I'm passionate about, but
okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of have that misconception about being a day trader. It's like, oh my God, you love it. And it's not something that I'm like in love with. It's something that, you know, I'm good at and I have become better at, and it provides me an income and free time. So
that's amazing. I love what you said, because I haven't heard this before, where it's like, it's not something I'm passionate about, but it's something I'm good at and I do. So what are you passionate about?
I honestly don't know. I have not figured that out. I this year I turned 30 and I'm just like, I don't know exactly like what I feel like life is going to bring for me right now. Currently, what's most fulfilling to me is helping other people in their trading, because I feel like I wish I had that.
Amen.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier when you have someone that has been through everything that you're going through, and sometimes you feel like, am I the only person that is struggling like this? Like, do I completely suck? And you question yourself a lot. So I think like being there for someone and telling them like, hey, I also went through that. Like, I know other people that have gone through it. You're not alone. That's like kind of fulfilling for me. So that's why I continue to do it.
You know, I want to go back to what you said earlier too, because you mentioned you learned from YouTube, learned from some books. Were there any specific books that really helped you that kind of stand out?
Yeah. So, there's one, I think it was called How to Trade the Stock Market. It's an orange book. It's huge.
Yeah.
That one was my first book that I ever read. And it's a big read, so it's a lot to take in, but it literally goes through everything. Like anything you would need to know about stock market, A to Z, like it goes through it all. So I think that's a really good start. When it came to options, and then when I kind of switched over to options, Understanding Options by Michael Sincere, I always recommend that to anyone that's getting into options. And then any Al Brooks books.
Okay.
All of his books are amazing.
I haven't heard any. What's the book of Al Brooks?
He's about price action, trend lines. So he really hones in on reading the price action of the stock, and then everything else comes from the price action. So once you understand that, you're able to apply different strategies. So his books are really good as well. Speaking
of price action, is that how you normally trade nowadays?
Yes, it's mostly price action based. I use technical indicators here and there, but before, when I first started, it was like just all technical indicators, and I just didn't understand price action at all. And I would just go off, oh, this MACD is telling me this, RSI is telling me this, and I realized that's just not working for me. So
when you say just technical indicators, I was thinking just support and resistance. What do you mean by technical indicators?
So indicators on whatever platform that you use, they have indicators that you can apply that can potentially guide you. When I first started, mistake that for it's telling me to do something, and I think a lot of people do, because everything is derived from the price action of the stock, from support and resistance levels, supply and demand, and that's what I failed to realize when I started.
Gotcha. So when you say price action trading, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by price action trading compared to the other way you just mentioned?
So with price action, you're mostly focused on support and resistance levels, the trend of the stock, supply and demand zones, where you can see kind of buyers stepping in, sellers stepping out, so on and so forth, and volume. It's mostly focused on that, and volume is kind of the really biggest impact on it, because if there's no volume, you're not able to get the move that you want. Versus when it's technical indicators, you're really focused on all of these other indicators, that ATR, like the average true range, how long it could potentially run, MACD, RSI, if it's oversold, overbought. And I think that just confuses a lot of traders, and they don't realize that you don't need all of that. All you need is the basics, and simplified trading is the best way to progress.
100%. And because I started off using VWAP, and then
Yeah.
I tried everything at first, and I get lost constantly. And you would start to hesitate, right? Like you'd be like,
Exactly.
okay, this is telling me this, but there's no support here, but this is saying buy. You
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
confused. So we're very similar that's why I reached out to you, because I saw that you support resistance. You're very clean about like, I'm not using all these indicators.
Yeah.
And that's something I found success in too. So we're very relatable in that.
Yeah.
But I want to get into this though as well, because we kind of jumped ahead and we know where you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of your story, like, tell me about the first couple of years of your trading journey. Like, was it easy for you? Because some people get it like, quick. They strike lightning in a bottle. But then there's some that take, it took me really like 3 years to even find anything. How long did it take you?
So to become kind of consistent was a year. I blew through a couple accounts before I, kind of found something that worked for me. And even then, it wasn't like the consistency that I wanted. It was just here and there. I was making a little bit, but I wasn't losing as much. I still had, my account was still up, but it wasn't like where I wanted it. It wasn't growing. It was just like stagnant. And honestly, like equities just wasn't it for me. And once I switched to options, and I switched to options in June of 2019, and I've never traded equities since. And I think options really stuck with me. I don't know what it was, but it just clicked. And I feel like you're able to capitalize a lot more in options with a smaller account. It is higher volatility, I feel like, but I think me going through the equities and learning that first helped me get over the learning curve in options a little bit quicker.
Would you say there's a lot that you carried over into options, like in terms of the lessons, whether it's like how you see support and resistance? Like, is that very, I don't trade options, right? So I'm just very curious. I know people are listening to this, like, I trade equities now. What is an option? Like, can I take what I've learned and put it over here? Can you do that?
Yes, 100%. Whether you're trading equities or options, price action is the same. Support and resistance levels are going to be similar. You're still going to take the same types of trades. You're just trading it a little bit differently.
Gotcha. So what would you tell people if they're hearing you say about options and this is the first time? Like, is there some things they need to be aware of that's completely different from equities that can be a danger if you're not aware of?
Yeah, so options are higher risk. So when you're trading an options contract, each contract has an expiration date. So the closer to expiration, the higher volatility that contract is going to be. You're going to lose value in that contract. So definitely, depending on what type of strategy you're implementing, you need to be aware of, what types of contracts you're buying, what stocks that you're trading, whether you're a day trader, swing trader. It is higher risk, but the good side to that is that you don't need a lot of capital to invest into options. And if you do it properly and you take the time to learn, there's just as much risk as if you would be trading equities.
100%.
I think it's all about risk management.
So speaking of that, because when I hear of options, like the little I know about options is like you can literally limit the max loss that you're going to lose because you can only lose what you lose on that option, right? So when I hear people talk about that and they talk about risk, about options, they make it sound like it's not as risky. Is that the case when it comes to that part?
I think it depends on what type of trader you are and how you manage your risk. Because yes, it can be very high risk if you don't know what you're doing. And if you're not doing it properly. But like you said, there's only a max loss that you can take. So if your contract is worth $250, that's the max loss that you can take.
Is that same on short side too?
Yes.
Really? Yep. Okay, because on our side, it's
puts.
not.
Exactly.
Okay.
On the short side, you can take like
you can just keep on losing,
So that's it. The losses are limited to whatever you invest in that position.
So why is it more, because this is my personal question right here. I don't understand how it's more risky, and this is my uneducated self, but I don't understand how it's more risky if on the short side, you can only lose the max that you put in, whereas on equities, I put a short on, and if I don't ever cover, I can lose and owe money.
Yeah. So I think when it comes with equities, there's more liquidity. So you're giving yourself more leeway. With options, because there's lower liquidity in options trading, and you have so many other things that go into how the options contract is priced. Greeks, there's the implied volatility. I'm sorry. Greek's implied volatility, theta, all of that goes into how the premium is priced. And the premium fluctuation can kind of make or break you if you don't know how to understand those other aspects to it. And I think sometimes, especially if you're trading like since the contract has an expiration date, if you're trading the same day expiration, it's a very high volatility. The premiums move very fast. And if you're trading out of the money, there's a lot of things that, I know there's a lot of things that I'm saying that I feel like you don't know what I'm saying.
No, you're right. But what I want to ask you is, because you said you went from equities and you went to options, and then you it sounded like you immediately found it that you loved options.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you have to learn so much more.
Mm-hmm.
So any advice, like if someone is transitioning to options, like how to not feel overwhelmed? Because just you explain that to me, I'm gonna tell you right now. Like, I have buddies who trade options. They try to convince me I just don't want to touch it, and that's why. Because it just seems so overwhelming of new information. Like, you got to worry about time decay. You got to worry about this. Like, how are you able to make decisions and make it more simple for you?
Yeah. So all of the little things that I mentioned, I think it's something that you take the time to learn. I always tell everyone, like, take the time to learn it first. Learn everything that's involved in options, what you kind of need to understand. It's not something that on a day-to-day basis, every trade that you take, you have to look at implied volatility, you have to look at theta, you have to look at this. That's not how I'm trading at all.
Okay.
But as a whole, I understand how all of those things impact my contract. And I think once you understand how they impact it, it becomes a lot easier.
Because you're scalping, right?
Yes.
And so do some of those things not really impact your scalp, since you're like in and out quicker?
Yeah.
Some of those don't matter in general?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it depends on what type of trading strategy too. With
Gotcha.
Scalping, you're less at risk to like adverse events, to theta decay, time decay, IV, versus if you're swing trading and you're day trading, you kind of have to pay attention to, how long am I going to hold this? Is the time decay going to get to me? Is it going to eat up my premium? And so those are things that you kind of do have to pay attention to.
I want to ask you though, because when you made that transition to options, what was it, just that you can risk, that you can have a smaller account and make more that appealed to you, or was there other things that appealed to you as well?
That was it. It was the fact that I could make the same ROI with the same less invested or more ROI with less invested. And at the point that I was at, I had a smaller account.
Sure.
So it was appealing to me. And I think that's what appeals to a lot of people. But they do need to understand that you can very quickly make a lot of money if you find a good week or a good month in options or in the market. But you can also very quickly lose that in like a day or 2 days if you don't manage the proper risk, because there is that, higher risk, because if you don't understand, time decay and, what expiration date you're buying and all those things, a lot of that is going to affect your trading in the long run. Yeah, you may catch I know I'll see a lot of people get into options and they catch one or two really good trades and they're like 100%, 200% gainers. And I'm killing it in options. And that's really not the case, because you can also lose 100% of your contract. So... Okay. And I've been on that side of it too. So.
I'm glad you said that, because I know a lot of people they just hear the best parts. They hear, oh, I can make a lot of money and I want to do that. But the fact is, no, you can lose a lot too.
Exactly, yeah.
When you made the transition, was it immediate success for you? Or was there like some learning curve still? Tell me about that journey when you transitioned to options, you discovered it. How long did it take you to kind of really get consistent at that?
So I started trading options in June of 2019, and I think by the end of the year, so it was about 6 months, and I was steadily every day making decent profit and being very consistent. And I found a strategy, and at that point I had just solely been scalping. And it was very quick. Obviously over the years my strategy has adapted, but back then it would be 1 minute, 2 minute, boom, 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 in and out, and I would take 2-3 trades a day and I'd be done. And I'd make my money, I'd be done, and I would be an hour, 30 minutes. And back then the market was a lot easier to trade too. 2020, 2021, it was easier, you know what I mean?
100%.
And this year it's just been a little bit difficult, even I think for experienced traders as well.
We were actually just talking off camera.
Yep.
I was sharing that this has been one of the hardest years, and this is the hardest year for me. And I know a lot of traders that I've talked to in the past that this is a hard year. Talk about that, and just in terms of how things can change, how quickly it can change. Because someone's watching this and they're just started trading, and all their trading is in this type of market. Currently we're in a bear market, and so things are different.
Yeah.
How different can it really get?
A lot. And I think if you're trading, if you just started trading this year, props to you, because it's a very difficult year. The beginning of this year, I felt like I was back in the beginning of my trading journey.
Jeez, me too.
Yeah, the first 2 months, especially February, it was such a bad month for me. I was red really badly in February, and a lot of people that know that it was not a good month. And I realized that what I was doing over the past 2 years is not applicable to what the market is giving me now. And I really had to completely change my entire strategy. Like literally everything that I traded, everything that I knew, like I had to completely change it this year. And I think that's the biggest thing that people need to understand. Whether you're trading equities or options, you have to really be able to adapt to the market, and you can't be stuck or like in love with one strategy, because it's just not, you have to change. You have to be able to change.
I needed to hear that advice in February. Because
I told myself that.
Because like I literally I was more stubborn.
Yeah.
And I stick to my strategy. I didn't start changing my strategy until like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And so it's really props off to you that you recognize that and you start to like make some changes.
Yeah.
How were you able to do that so quickly? Like, have you always been that person who could just like drop things that have been working for you and move something, like change real quickly? Was it as fast as you made it sound, like quick adaptation, or is that now in hindsight? Could you explain that?
No, I'm not someone that likes change at all. So
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that it wasn't easy. Like obviously me saying like I realized that I needed to change it. To this day, I'm applying new strategies. Like this year, like there has been a lot of different strategies that I've tried that didn't work, and a lot of strategies that I tried that have worked, and I've just kind of refined what has worked versus what hasn't worked, and now I have what I have. And it took me this entire year. And I think September of this year, where are we in November? September of this year was the best month I've had.
Nice.
And it took me that whole year before I got there.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's great is like I'm so happy you're sharing this, because it is not easy.
No, it's not.
And even though we find something that works for us, it can easily stop working.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. They think like, hey, you learned, like, because on YouTube, on any advertisement you hear, this is easy. You learn this one strategy and you can make money for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I am a little guilty of like when I post stuff or content or trying to educate people on YouTube or Instagram. It's just, it may look easy, but there's a lot of other things that go into whatever strategy that you're applying that people don't get to see as often, like the emotional side of it or the risk management side of it. And it's not easy. It may look, as you're watching it, a viewer, easy, but there's so much that goes into it that you have not seen. So
speaking of how not easy it is, can you remember just like a moment in your trading career where it was just like really dark? Because it was just like, I don't know about you, but for me, I had a real dark moment in my trading. Maybe you didn't, but I had a real dark moment in my trading career. Was there ever a time where something was like really difficult for you and it was just like put you in a bad spot?
There was two. One was when I first started and I blew through 2 accounts.
Yeah.
And it was my entire savings. So it was a lot to kind of handle on top of, I was still working at the time while I was trading, because I didn't stop trading. I didn't stop working until I became consistent.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Because I didn't want to do that. But yeah, it was very, very difficult emotionally. I feel like trading is not for everyone. I will say that. Like, and one thing that I learned, and I always tell people, is don't take what happened in trading into whatever other personal life that you have or outside of your computer screen or your setup. Once you get up, that ends right there. And I used to really take it out on everyone around me, and I was just not a good person to be around. Like, and even the beginning of this year in February, that was another really dark period, because I was a successful trader, so I'm like, I feel like I should be experienced enough. I'm on YouTube, like posting content. Like, I don't think I should be doing that. Like, teaching people and I'm in
I love that you're saying this.
I was just like, this is not like good. Like, I can't do this. And I think I was even harder on myself because I was in a space to teach. So I was like, no, like, this is not okay. And I really like was not in a good place mentally in that time either. And I realized like I have to kind of pull back, take a break, figure out what I'm doing wrong. And I think if you can pull yourself out of it and pull back and get to what makes you feel good, whether it's family, whether it's doing something different, and not kind of take that trading into all of your other personal, whatever you're doing, it can get a little bit better.
100% agree. My emotions were fluctuated with how I did at the beginning, and it was not good. Yeah. And so definitely agree with you there. I'm so happy you shared that as a YouTube creator too, like you just do that, you want to help people and you show people what you do. And so like that can get into your own psyche.
Yeah.
And it can make it more difficult for you, which I'm hats off to you and respect that you're able to still keep going, adapt over time and find something else that works for you. So much respect for you on that. 100%. Because I feel you when I'm sharing stuff and I'm like, well, now it's not working anymore. And I'm like, I'm starting to get in my own head.
Yeah.
And so I love hearing what you said, just because from my perspective, selfishly, like I'm trading and I share stuff on YouTube. So it's just like when something stops working, I start to question who I am.
Yep.
And that's very difficult, right? We're traders, sure, but at the same time, like we're more than that.
Yeah,
you're not just you're a Masi. You have a family, you have friends and stuff. Like you don't have to judge yourself off of what you do every day.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the hardest part, I feel like, to get
super
through,
hard.
Yeah.
I want to know, was there something during your career at the beginning after you switched to options, and it took you about 6 months, it sounded like, from options to really find something that works for you in that realm? But was there something that was really holding you back before you really started taking off? Like maybe you found something that worked for you. You started to make some consistent money. And I remember you mentioned like it was like, I was consistent, but not where I wanted to be. What was it that kind of put you where you wanted to be? Was there like a mindset shift? Was it a strategy? Was it whatever? What was it?
So it was definitely emotional. For me, it was all emotions based. Like I was not confident. And as a person, I wasn't confident. And a lot of people with trading, they don't realize that who they are, like your innate characteristics, like what makes you, like will affect your trading. If you don't look at yourself and think, am I patient? Am I disciplined? Am I confident enough to take these trades? Like, am I a confident person? And if you're able to ask yourself and figure out what characteristics make you're able to kind of adapt your trading to that, or actually be able to kind of make sure that they don't hinder your trading. And for me, it was a lot that had to do with confidence and discipline. Those are the biggest things that I struggled with. And I would always hesitate. And with scalping, you can't hesitate. It's like 1 to 2 minutes. You hesitate, you miss the play. And I used to have trading plans and I would, watch the trading plan in front of me, like make the play. Like I just lost 50%. Like I could have made so much money on this or at least had a profitable trade. And I'm just like back to back. There was like weeks of me just watching trades go through and I was not taking them. And that actually in turn helped me build my confidence, because I knew that whatever strategies I was applying, my trading plans were playing out. They were working. So I just needed to be that confident person to be able to take those trades and trust myself as a person to trust what I know. And I think that's like such a big hurdle to go through as a trader, to really trust your knowledge and what you know and apply it to what you're seeing.
So was it just seeing it happen over and over and getting frustrated that you weren't pulling trade that really helped you? Or were there other things you were doing or anything you did outside of trading that helped you with your confidence?
There was a lot. I think there was a lot of different things. So there was a lot outside of trading. I think personally, like if you're, let's say you're going to go to the gym, for 2 weeks or like for a month, and you fail after week 1, you're not disciplined. And that can trickle into your trading. And that was who I was then.
Gotcha.
I wasn't like, I would be like, oh, I'm going to go on a diet. Like I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to live a healthier lifestyle. And I didn't. I would fail.
Yep.
And in 2020, I really changed every aspect of my life, regardless of trading. I really focused on living a healthier lifestyle, just being a better person emotionally, mentally, and focusing on myself and what I project. And honestly, that is what changed my trading. It had nothing to do with me sitting there and being patient for 15 minutes and following a set of rules. Yeah, I had rules, but really it was how I changed myself as a person that trickled into my trading.
I love what you said, because you mentioned it earlier too. You said trading is really going to show you who you are. You really got to look inside.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. And if you think you're disciplined, you'll find out real quick when you trade.
It'll really tell you if you are or not. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
When it comes to risk management, how has your view on that changed from the beginning of your career to now?
Yeah, when I first started, I had no risk management. I would say even when I was profitable, over 2020 and 2021, because the market was, I feel so easy to trade. It was very easy.
Which is very common to hear.
Yeah, and you get overconfident sometimes. And my sizing was extremely heavy at that point, and I didn't realize that it was like mentally draining, and I had very little risk management. Like it just, the risk to reward never made sense. And now, like, I feel like it's good to go through changing markets because you really learn like what you weren't applying that's really important. Like, I don't think I was applying risk management until this year.
Yeah.
And I really like realized that I'm sizing and my risk to reward doesn't make sense. And really honing in on that protects not only your capital, your account, but your mental state and how you progress as a trader.
Yes, I'm glad you brought up mental state, because explain how important it is to be in the right headspace before you even sit at your desk.
Yeah. So for me, even now, like, if I have a bad day, if I fight with my mom, if I fight with someone else, I'm not trading. Like, I refuse to trade. If that night, you know, I got bad news on something, the next morning I'm not trading.
Yep.
You don't realize it, but it will affect you. It will 100% affect you. Like, whatever you're going through in your personal life, whatever it may be, like if you have an exam that you have to prepare for, like that added stress is going to trickle into your trading. So 100%, I think if you're not, you really need to wake up in the morning and be like, am I in the right state of mind to risk money in order to make money? Because that's not an easy thing to do. So if you ask yourself that every morning and you come prepared and you come mentally kind of with a clean slate, yes, trade. If not, if you have so much going on, don't. Even if it means taking like a month off to figure yourself out.
100%. And you know what's crazy is if you ask yourself that question, does it need to be instant, like the answer is yes, I'm good? Or if you at all hesitate and like, I don't know, like, what do you recommend?
So when I wake up, my alarm goes off at like 8:30. I'll wake up and if I went through something or if I'm going through something, like literally I'll lay there and like meditate on it, and I'll be like, do I want to trade today? And if there's even like a moment of hesitation, I'm like, nah, like that's
smart, because I'll ignore it.
That's a sign. And usually when I have ignored it, I end up taking a loss.
Exactly.
So I've learned from those mistakes.
Same.
So no, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to trade.
I thought that was going to be the answer, but I wanted to ask. I wanted them to hear it too.
Yeah, no.
Because I used to ignore that little hesitation in your thought. No, you're like, oh, that's your greed saying, no, you can do it.
Yeah, you got to listen to your gut instinct, because that will
100%.
keep you above water so much more than anything else.
I feel like the gut is the years of experience at the subconscious level telling you, like tugging at you, like, yo, like, it's probably not a good idea today.
Yep. And I think that's something that you learn with experience, obviously. But if you ever have a moment where you're like, I don't think I should take this trade, you probably shouldn't take it. Or I don't think I should trade today because of this, and even if it's a moment's hesitation, just don't take it. Because at that point, I also feel like you're not even confident enough to be at your desk or take the trade anyways. So you're either going to hesitate, take it late, or you're going to end up chasing or revenge trading or whatever. It's just a literally roller coaster of emotions that you shouldn't
and at that point, you're not even trading the system. You're
you're just
really starting off emotional and you're trading completely emotional. Before we start to wrap this up, I wanted to ask you something, because you brought it up earlier. And you said, and it really stood out to me, you said that I tried all types of strategies and I wanted to know who I was. And you said you adapt. Now I might butcher this, but you said you kind of adapted. You either got to adapt how you are as a trader and change yourself, or you find strategy that works for you and your style. Can you explain? Because I know people are here and they're like, well, you know, how do I do either or? Like, what do you mean by, you know, find a strategy that works for you and how you are mentally? Or how do you I guess we kind of dived into how you change yourself and grow, but I was more so focused on how do you find a strategy that fits your style?
So for me, I'm very impatient and I like instant gratification. So I chose scalping. I don't like swing trading because I want to sleep peacefully at night. And I feel like when you swing anything, it's just like constant anxiety for me. Like, unless it's like a long-term swing or if like I'm long-term investing, that's different. But if I have to think about it after I walk away from my desk, I don't like to take trades like that. So for me, it was, I want to be in, be out as quickly as possible, make my percentage, whatever gain that I make, and be done for the day and not think about it anymore. Because the whole point for me was free time, and I want to be able to invest my time into other things. I don't the whole point of trading for me was to just find time to do other things that I love to do or spend time with family or whatever the case may be. So yeah, definitely I think you need to find a strategy that works for you, not only as who you are as a person, if you're not disciplined or if you're impatient, but also like your lifestyle and whatever else you have going on. So I think definitely is something that you need to figure out. And that's the first thing that I tell anyone that I'm, mentoring or like, hey, what's your lifestyle like? What type of strategy can you implement first? And then you pick the strategy.
That's a good point. And I love that most of us, like yourself, we want to go to trading to begin with because we want a different lifestyle. We want to be in control of our time. But a lot of us end up being controlled by the markets and we just sit there all day, even though maybe our data shows that the first hour we're the best at, maybe the last hour, maybe midday, whatever, everyone's different. But it's important to remember why you even pursue trading. Like, did you ever get trapped where you were like trapped all day and you're like, what am I doing?
When I was first trading, for the first 2 years, I would be sitting at my desk from 9 to 4.
Same.
Every single day. Like, I would be there all day. I would maybe take a break in between, go to the gym, come back at my desk. Like, now it's so much more different. Like, if I don't find a trade within the first hour of the market, I'm done. Like, maybe I'll come back in the last hour to see if I'm feeling it. Otherwise, like, it's not meant to be. Or if, there's Fed members speaking. I just realized days that, work for me and don't work for me, and days that are higher volatility or not. Why trade on a day where, there's a Fed member speaking or anything like that when you can save that capital, wait for a higher probability setup the next day or the following day or the following week, and, make your entire week's profit in one day.
100%.
That's when you capitalize on plays. That's when you actually take the time to hone in on your trading and be able to either size up or size down. But when you know that, hey, like, I'm not good at trading on these days, or I'm not good at doing this, like, it's something that you should probably step away from.
I'm glad you said that. Well, look, I know a lot of people are going to have tons of questions. So you're going to know where to find out more about you. So, Masi, if you can take a quick second and let them know where they can learn more about you.
Yeah, you guys can definitely check out my YouTube channel. It's just at Masi Trades. I have a lot of trading content, options content. So you guys check that out.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Masi, and it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Absolutely. We're giving away 48 meals this month. You're at your desk, you're busy, you're trading, you're working. You don't have time to go make a delicious, healthy meal. Instead, what do? You order some fast delivery service that isn't healthy. Don't worry, we got you covered because we are partnering with Icon Meals, who creates healthy, delicious meals, and they deliver it right to you. My favorite meal from Icon is the Titan Burrito. It's a breakfast burrito that is filled with egg and potatoes, all the good stuff, and it comes with salsa because salsa is the best. Now, there are many meals to choose from. That was just my favorite. The way you enter to win is just comment below what you had for lunch today, and then click the link and follow the instructions.